You ever get pulled over and before the officer even reaches your window, you already know this isn't about traffic, it's about you? Yeah, that kind of feeling. The kind that sits heavy in your chest before a word is said. That's how it started for me on a hot stretch of Texas highway, sun burning the asphalt, radio low, mind calm. Just heading home like any other day. And I swear to you, I had no idea that simple drive was about to flip my life upside down. I saw the lights in my mirror, red and blue, washing over the inside of my car, and I remember thinking, stay calm, do everything right, just like they teach you, hands on the wheel, engine off, no sudden moves. Because sometimes doing everything right still isn't enough, you know what I mean? The deputy who walked up wasn't young, wasn't nervous, wasn't unsure. He moved like a man who'd done this so long, he stopped seeing people and started seeing categories. His hand was already resting on his holster when he reached my window, not near it, not casually planted there like a statement. He didn't greet me, didn't explain anything, just said, license and registration, like he was ordering food. I told him calmly. I was reaching for the glove box, slow and clear, and handed him my license, my registration papers, and my military ID out of habit, not pride, just routine. He looked at that military ID like it offended him. He said, "What's this?" I said, "Active duty Navy." He squinted at me and said, "Oh, so you think that makes you special?" I actually blinked because I thought maybe I misheard him. I said, "No, sir. It just explains why I travel a lot." He tapped my temporary tag paperwork and said, "This looks fake." Now I knew right there something wasn't right because the tag was perfectly valid dealership-issued dates. Clear VIN matched, nothing shady about it. I explained that, polite, steady, respectful. He leaned closer and said, "Don't get slick with me." I said, "I'm not, I'm just explaining." That's when his face changed and he said, "You people always got an explanation." And I'm telling you right now, that sentence hit harder than anything else that happened that day because it told me this stop wasn't about a tag, it was about a story he'd already written in his head. He told me to step out of the vehicle. I asked calmly if I was being detained for anything besides a registration check. His fingers tightened on his holster and he said, "Step out." So I stepped out, slow, careful hands, visible cars flying past at 70, like nothing important was happening while my entire future stood on that roadside with me. He started circling me, watching how I stood, how I breathed, like he was hunting for something he could call suspicious. He asked why I looked tense. I almost laughed, but didn't. I said, "Because your hand's on your gun." He didn't like that. He called for backup and told dispatch I was uncooperative. Within minutes, 2 more units rolled in dust, kicking up doors, slamming. One deputy was experienced. You could see it in her eyes. The other was a rookie, standing stiff like he was posing for a training video. The first thing the lead deputy told them was that my tag looked counterfeit and I'd been giving him attitude. I was standing there holding legal paperwork that proved otherwise. I asked what grounds he had to search my car. He smiled and said, "Probable cause is," I said so. And right there, that was the twist. That was the moment I understood this wasn't a misunderstanding, this was a decision. I asked again calmly, "Do you have legal cause?" His voice went cold. "Turn around." I asked, "Am I under arrest?" He stepped closer and repeated, "Turn around." So I did. The cuffs snapped tight around my wrists, tighter than necessary, metal-biting skin, and I remember staring straight ahead thinking, stay calm. Just stay calm, because anger in that moment would have been gasoline on a fire. He was already lighting. He leaned in close and whispered, "Bet those medals don't help you now." I said, "Everything's being recorded." He chuckled and started talking into his radio, saying subject resisting, subject non-compliant, like he was narrating a movie where he'd already cast me as the villain. At the station, it got colder. Not louder, not violent, just mechanical. Fingerprints, photos, belongings bagged, watch off phone, gone wallet sealed. One booking officer looked at my military ID a little too long, like his brain was trying to catch up with what was happening. The arresting deputy snapped, "Process him." I got put in a holding cell that smelled like bleach and regret. Concrete walls, metal bench, one guy asleep in the corner. I didn't panic. Training keeps your breathing steady even when your mind is racing, but I kept replaying the stop in my head, trying to find the moment it went wrong and realizing it went wrong before it even started. After a few hours, they let me make a call. I phoned my attorney and explained everything step by step. He got quiet, then said, "This isn't a bad stop. This is a civil rights case." He said if there's dash cam footage, they just made the worst mistake of their careers. That was the first time that day I felt something shift inside me. Not relief, not yet just a spark. The next morning I was taken to court in the same closed wrists, bruised dark from the cuffs. The courtroom was packed, reporters, observers, people who'd heard what happened and wanted to see it with their own eyes. The prosecutor read the charges like he was reading a grocery list: resisting, obstruction, failure to comply. My lawyer stood up calm as still water and said, "Your Honor, we have video showing no probable cause and a retaliatory arrest. We can play it right now." The judge asked the prosecutor if he'd seen the footage. He hesitated. That pause told the whole room everything. The judge recessed, watched the video privately, came back, and said all charges dismissed, effective immediately. I felt air fill my lungs like I'd been underwater. Then she added she was referring the incident for civil rights review. The room started whispering. I walked out into sunlight after 18 hours in custody, and it felt strange, almost unreal, like the world kept moving while mine had stopped. But that wasn't the end, not even close. My lawyer filed a federal lawsuit naming the deputy, the department, and the county. During investigation, they found something bigger, a pattern: multiple stops involving minority drivers, searches that led nowhere, arrests that vanished later. Suddenly, this wasn't just about me, it was about a system. The department tried damage control, press statements about integrity and transparency, internal investigation, claiming mistakes but no wrongdoing. My lawyer laughed when he read it because it basically proved our case. Then came depositions. Under oath, faced with his own recorded words, the deputy started forgetting things, contradicting himself, saying he felt threatened by my posture, by how straight I stood, by how calmly I spoke. My lawyer asked him what he meant by "you people." The deputy fumbled, said he didn't mean it like that. My lawyer said, "How did you mean it?" Silence filled the room. Not the comfortable kind, the kind that presses on your ears. A few weeks later, the county asked for settlement talks. Their first offer was low and came with a confidentiality clause. My lawyer didn't even blink. "No NDA," he said. They went back and forth for hours until finally the county offered a multi-million settlement, policy reforms, outside oversight, and termination of the deputy involved. I thought about that roadside, about the cuffs, about the whisper in my ear, about how easily that day could have ended differently if there hadn't been cameras, if I hadn't known my rights, if I'd lost my temper for even 1 second. I signed. The deputy was fired quietly, no announcement, just gone. The sheriff who defended him retired months later. Federal investigators opened a broader review into the department. People think winning a case like that feels like fireworks, like celebration, but honestly it felt quieter than that, more like a long exhale after holding your breath too long. I paid off debts, helped my family, tried to go back to normal life, but normal doesn't come back all the way. I still check my mirrors more than I used to. I still feel my pulse jump when a patrol car pulls behind me. That kind of thing stays with you. And here's the part that still bothers me. Some folks weren't mad at the deputy, they were mad at me. They said I took taxpayer money, said I should have just complied, said I played the race card. Yeah, that happened. And it made me realize something I can't unsee now. For a lot of people, justice isn't about truth, it's about comfort, about who they feel safe giving power to. So now I'm asking you honestly, if you watched that footage and saw how calm I was, how legal everything was, how fast it escalated, the second I asked one simple question: who do you think was really in the wrong that day? And do you think the settlement was justice or just a price tag on silence? Tell me what you think in the comments. I want to hear your take, your stories, your experiences, because conversations like this matter more than people realize. And if this story hit you even a little, share it with someone who still thinks this kind of thing doesn't happen anymore.